The security cluster will be updating the country on how far it is with implementing the recommendations made by an expert panel report which probed the July civil unrest in KwaZulu Natal and parts of Gauteng last year. Law enforcement agencies were found wanting when rampant looting and acts of criminality spread. This followed the arrest of former President Jacob Zuma. Newzroom Afrika's politics reporter Ziyanda Ngcobo in Pretoria for us ahead of that briefing. Ziyanda, good morning to you. So much of the focus by these ministers, or perhaps what they're going to be telling the nation, is how far the country has gone in implementing the recommendations, at least of the report that was tabled by the professor who led these investigations, Professor Sandy Africa. Talk to us about just some of what was said in that report as recommendations.
So a lot of things were said as recommendations by that report. The first thing, it referred to that high-level panel review report that was compiled by Dr. Sidney Mufamadi in 2018, which was looking then into the state of the State Security Agency. And, that's where they started off their analysis of what led to the July unrest in 2021. So part of what they've said was that, one, the National Security Council, which is chaired by the President, needs to meet more often. You'll recall, Xoli, that you did that interview with former Defense Minister Nosiviwe Mapisa-Nqakula, where she said that it had not met in 10 years. So that was part of the recommendations. Another thing was to actually ensure that the executive works in a more cohesive manner in terms of how it shares information, because it seemed at the time that the various law enforcement agencies were working in silos. So also filling up those positions, both in the SSA and crime intelligence, was another recommendation that was made by this report. And you'll recall that even President Cyril Ramaphosa noted it in his State of the Nation address, saying that there would be some key changes in leadership positions within law enforcement agencies. I think one of the only ones that is, of high level or high profile is that of Kehla Sithole, who was the former police commissioner at the time of the unrest. And you'll know, it's public knowledge now, that his relationship with Police Minister Bheki Cele was also part of the reason why the response then to what was happening in parts of KZN and Gauteng was actually, inadequate, and actually as police were found to have been spectators of the rampant looting and acts of criminality. So these are some of the issues. So it's issue of personnel, coordination, and really meeting to discuss then and paying attention, Xoli, to the National Intelligence Coordinating Committee, which had warned last year before the unrest of the various factors that led to, this cocktail or what the report refers to as this orgy of violence, where it was the spatial planning, the high levels of unemployment, rising poverty, and of course then noting that the arrest of former President Jacob Zuma was a contributing factor, including his supporters using social media to mobilize after his arrest on this day exactly a year ago.
Yeah, it's an all-encompassing report, wasn't it, Ziyanda Ngcobo? Thank you very much for the time being. Not forgetting that the Human Rights Commission, which has also been probing this particular event, the July unrest, that organization has yet to table its report. We know that they have wrapped up their investigations recently. So looking forward to what that commission is going to tell us.